Welcome into Trust the Process Live. It's Monday, so we're here, and boys, it's as if a flower has taken root. It's almost as if someone has been watering, someone has been fertilizing. I don't know if they're the same person. I don't know if there's a waterer and a fertilizer. I don't know if there's a person who waters and fertilizes. If they do, they better be getting paid like it. But yeah, it's almost as if a flower has taken root here, and I am your head flower here, James Hyden, your host, here with my guys, Doc Glock, Josh Safran. How are you? I'm going to call you the waterer.
Oh man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling watered. I'm feeling refreshed. Listen, we'll talk about this game. It's weird. Don't know how to feel about the football side of things. It's just odd. I'm not complaining, but I'm good, man. Just excited for a new week.
Good, Mr. Fertilizer, Max Coolest, the man of many digits.
I got fertilizer. Let's go.
How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm a little exhausted from the weekend, but if anything could have juiced me back up, it was not getting embarrassed by the Lions. I wasn't expecting what we got, but just thank God.
Glad you're on the right side.
Today. That was my nightmare on Saturday.
Because you knew I was coming. You knew I
in sweats, like, oh my God, JJ.
Yeah.
Man,
you knew I was coming.
I'm gonna have to save Josh too. Like,
yeah.
I would have been sick. I would have been sick Monday at the Lions one.
I would have been coming.
My man, I won't give it away, but let's see. The young YG, young gentleman, how are you?
I'm good. The best part about the Nick Sirianni press conference was this little gesture when he's talking about the flower.
I wish that had it sort of has a flower on it.
That is so funny. I'm also coming to you guys with a little bit of guilt. Jameis Winston, it was reported he tore his ACL today, and while he is now a divisional rival, he was at one time our number one overall draft pick. Hate to see another first round draft pick do that to him. None of it was intentional. But that's just tough to see, man. That last thing we wanted was a torn ACL, seriously.
Yeah. Was that Joe Tryon that did that?
No, Devin White. And then got a horse collar on it, which I
was going to say Tryon's going to be a player, man.
He didn't have a great game yesterday. He didn't have a great game. But
we're not here to talk about the Bucs. We're here to talk about the Garden of Eden that has shown. Dude, I'm trying here. I'm really squeezing all of the garden puns out.
It's beautiful.
Really.
You're beautiful. You get a bit early.
Right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it's going to last. Like I might run out at some point, but we'll see how it goes. Our main event, obviously. What are we taking out of this? Okay, so is there anything I can take out of this? I mean, obviously the things that are right before you. I won't give my take yet. So I want to come around here. I want to go to Josh first because I'm actually really intrigued to hear what Josh has to say as not only the eternal optimist, but the guy who is most likely to backtrack on a take from week to week.
Fair play. I gave JJ the lowdown before we started because I figured you were all thinking that. I'm sorry. I have to disappoint this week because I am not jumping back on any. You will not hear me use the P word that ends in layoffs in this show, okay? Like, maybe that's what you expected me to be doing, all right? No, I am not doing that. What I got out of this is the Lions are horrible. And I started really thinking about it, right? Because I was like trying to talk myself into it, Banners. I was trying, because I have to try. I was trying to talk myself into being like, they're back. The Eagles are back. No. When I really look back on it, you look back at all the Lions games this season and you're saying like, wow, the Ravens needed a 65-yard kick. Like, wow, they really came back on the Niners or the Rams. They punched the Rams in the face to start. All of those teams took the Lions like not seriously at all, and nor should they have really. Like, these teams really just didn't take the Lions seriously, and the Lions were so juiced up. The Eagles were the complete opposite. Like, the Eagles saw the writing on the wall. They did their 94-1 WIP interviews. They saw Nick Sirianni getting bashed, and this was everything for the Eagles. Like, the Eagles took this game almost too seriously and did like virtually nothing to get the easiest 40-6, like boring, dominant football game I've ever seen. Like, it's impressive. The Eagles took care of business. They won 44-6. Is that Nick Sirianni really hates Miles Sanders and the Lions are really, really bad. There's not really much more I could say. Like, is there anything you can really say?
He definitely don't like Miles for some reason. He
It's
definitely
not
ran the
Miles.
ball
He
yesterday
hates
out of
him.
spite. I don't know what it was, but he definitely
Yeah.
Miles did something.
Man, I feel like
I'm gonna
I was all
save.
in on Miles Sanders getting going last week, and I just think
I'm saving Max here. I'm saving Max here.
Save digits.
YG, what are you taking away from this shellacking of a franchise that, quite honest, it might either need to be put out of its misery or just like repoed by the league.
Something need to happen, but y'all beat the Lions. Well, what I take from this is it's easy to beat up on someone smaller than you. It really is, because my question when I see that game, and you talk about the most mundane, boring 42-6 win, I didn't even realize you guys were in the upper 30s when I was watching the game. Oh crap, they got 30-something points. Like, no, when you watch that game, it was hard to realize that you guys scored the ball that much. It didn't seem like the Lions were even putting up that much of a fight. But I like what you said, Josh, about the Eagles realizing that they needed to beat the Lions like that. Like, we don't have the luxury these other good teams to have of being like, oh, it's just the Lions, and then maybe waking up sometime mid-third quarter and then doing just enough to beat them at the end of the game. You guys needed to play start to finish to beat the Lions. But when I see stuff like, a consistent running game from quarter 1 to quarter 4, a defense that now looks aggressive and getting after the quarterback using different blitz packages and stuff. I wonder where does that go against good teams? I've seen that only 2 times this year from the Eagles, week 1 and week 8. And it just so happens that those are 2 of the 3 worst teams in the league, 4 or 5 worst teams in the league. But when it comes against good teams that you have to play, why are you not confident enough to call some of these schemes and do some of these things against good teams? You only do it against teams you know it's going to work with. I don't know if it's a morale thing, or you only want to see it when it works, a small sample size, whatever it is. But the game plan that I saw against the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons is not the game plan that I've seen for pretty much every other game this season. And that's my takeaway. My takeaway is we're only confident in doing those things against teams that we know are inferior enough. We're not confident enough to do those things against better competition. It's kind of easy to beat up on someone smaller than you.
Digits, what are we? I think they might just need to be repossessed, but by the league, they just need to come in, repo,
just take it,
overhaul.
Just take it.
Digits, what are you taking away from this, my man? How many digits are you handing out?
Honestly, I'm not really taking much out of this game because you're right. It's
awesome.
Okay.
Honestly, I have to give a little bit of credit to Josh here. Something that I don't know why it rang a bell, but when we beat the Lions this bad, Josh made it very evident when he was still believing in the P-layoffs, early in the season, that the Eagles were not as bad as the Lions and the Jaguars and teams like that. And I think this game absolutely solidified that the Eagles are just like, they're definitely not good. They're definitely not in that bottom tier.
They're not in the basement. All right, they're not in the basement.
They're definitely better on a week-to-week basis than the Jets and the Jaguars and obviously the Lions. Like they're a step above that bottom tier. I think that's really the main message I took out of this, because we have seen better teams struggle with the Lions this year, and they've earned a reputation as a scrappy team. What do I want to say here? They were like a they were a sexy pick this week. A lot of people were like, "This is the week. The Eagles are bad." Like, I didn't want to put your name out there, Josh, but thank you for that. But
I took the +3.
A lot of people shared that same train of thought. I honestly, I only switched back to the Eagles because me and Josh talk about this on Trusted Picks. It's never Lions are never a team you should back if that's the public.
Never.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't ever feel right doing it. And eventually, the pendulum swung all the way back to that point for me, and I was very confident going into that game. I wasn't expecting a 40-point blowout, but my mind was a little bit more at ease than it was on Friday or even Saturday for whatever reason. So I guess I didn't really get blown away by this game like a lot of people would, like a lot of the Negadelphians would. So I don't really think we can take much out of this. I will say this, that I think you guys made a great point with talking about how the defense looked active and fluid and not vanilla, like we've discussed multiple times here. And I don't know at this point if it's a matter of not wanting to, like, this maybe isn't the perfect analogy, but like not fight a battle you can't win. You know what I mean? Like these two bad teams, but like, is this just a rookie coordinator, first time guy on the job coming along and developing? And it just so happens that, he had the luck on his side week 1 when there's nothing out there and, caught a bad team at a good time for another good performance? Or could this actually be a sign of growth and development on the defensive side? If the latter is the case, I think the Eagles can certainly be feisty. I still don't think they're going to be consistent enough offensively. Like, congratulations, one game where you're up 30 points the whole time. Like, if you're not running the ball down the other team's throat at that point, or at least not trying to, then you have no business being in the league, right? Like, you don't. Once you're up 30 points on the road, you just want to get out of there with the win, right? Like,
and healthy.
It was so boring. I made the executive decision to watch Red Zone. If anything exciting happened, Red Zone showed me. And guess what? I missed 3 field goals and Gardner Minshew. Do I regret my decision? Absolutely not. So I take that this coach, they figured it out at least the second time this year. They did it against the Falcons. They did it against the Lions. Hopefully this isn't only going to happen when we're, better than the other team on basically all facets on the field. And until I see otherwise, I can't really be too excited, other than the fact, like I said at the beginning of the show, that I'm not here atoning for the fact that the Eagles gave the Lions their first win of the season.
So the 3 right here I'm holding up is not in reference to a 3 that was just hit in the Sixers game. I have 3 things that I took away. One is no good deed goes unpunished. And I want to say that in reference to the Lions, because my goodness, do they really, like, Dan Campbell, you got to love the story in terms of just like, I'm going to instill fight into this team. Granted, they didn't show much, but like for a pure effort, that team is also so battered by injuries. Like, if you're already a bad team and then you get absolutely hounded by injuries, just like, all I can say to you, man, is just like, I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
That point up. I think maybe by the end of the season, if you guys remember that Cardinal season, maybe in like 2016 or 17, where the Cardinals had to use like the most offensive linemen in a single season, I think the Lions are kind of on pace to sniff that.
It's bad.
And I think by the end of the year, we might be like, wow, the Lions really did suck, but next year people will be able to build the lines because they were scrappy, and then 24 different offensive linemen by the time it's all said and done or something.
And not only that, they signed a cornerback off the street to play their second boundary cornerback. Like, they are. I'm sorry, guys. Like, you haven't had a great history, and just to deal with this, I can't imagine. But I guess Detroit fans are just apathetic at this point.
They don't really care about much anymore.
No, it's just whatever. Takeaway number 2 is you have to give credit to Jonathan Gannon. This is a completely different defensive scheme than you've seen. I don't really want to go into all of the X's and O's. He didn't bring the house all game, but I mean, with the 6 or 7 like design blitzes is 6 or 7 more than we've seen in the past couple weeks. So you got to give the guy
more active than
you got to give you that
Fletcher Cox is calling him out in post-game press conferences saying like we're not aggressive enough. And my only point is I want to see him do it next week against the Chargers.
Well,
not just against the Bets.
I was just gonna add, like, I was almost frustrated watching this game as an Eagles fan, because it was like, oh, so you do know how to punch a ball. You do know how to punch a ball out of a receiver's hands. Oh, you're allowed to send more than 4 guys on a pass rush? Like, where has this been? It was a little
and I guess
frustrating.
that's the perfect lead into my last point is this is something that you can carry into the next game as a defense. My cats are awful. This is something you can carry into the next game as a defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something you can carry forward as an offense, as the team is currently constructed. Like, this is you aren't going to. Your mission statement for the season should be either develop Jalen Hurts or move on. You cannot effectively as a franchise either claim Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback or try and move off from him and get some kind of value back while having him throw 14 times against a Lions defense that doesn't have starting cornerbacks. Yeah. That's not about development. You can't take anything from that moving forward. You can't play Gardner Minshew moving forward. Like, I get
what you're saying, but I mean, that game was just so out of hand. Like, I don't know.
So tell me why, if you're up 37 points, you can't actually try an actual pro style offense with Jalen Hurts to see if he can.
And I agree with you, Banners. I just think they picked. Like, to me, there's a couple of things that in a blowout the Eagles can elect to try to let's see if we can try to establish this. And the running game and a more active and more aggressive defense, to me, were the things that the coaching staff elected in a blowout to say, we're going to try these things. And to your point, maybe it should have been Jalen Hurts and maybe a different style of offense, a mobile pocket, maybe better reads and better throws. But I think in a blowout, there's things that coaching staffs want to work on, and they chose running game and blitzing on the defense instead of a different offense for Jalen.
I think is my main.
I think it's kind of a bad look to be trying to run up the score when you're dominating a winless team.
No, we in the NFL.
No.
I don't care. We are the Eagles
first season as a head coach. Yeah. He doesn't want to be that guy who gets reputation.
Then you don't deserve to be a head coach.
Yeah, no. I'm not playing for everybody else's perception.
I agree. He doesn't deserve to be a head coach.
I'm not playing for everybody else's perception. I have a essentially first year starting quarterback and a first year offense, and I want to see him work. If we are the Chiefs, if we are the Ravens, the Bills, I don't need to work on anything with my quarterback. So hand the ball off, take him out. But if I want to work on things with my quarterback, I don't care if you're, if you're on the other, if you're Dan Campbell giving me side eyes on the other side of the side, I do not care. I need to work out my quarterback. So y'all need to defend. I don't care. Well then he worried about their own pigs.
Whatever you think about it, I'm just saying that's the number one primary reason why they're not trying to go air raid offense with 12.
And you don't need to go air raid.
You don't need to go air raid.
You don't need to go air raid. But let me not loop myself in with y'all. But every Eagles Freudian slip. Don't even try. Freudian slip. But every Eagles fan out there has been begging to see Jalen Hurts in a different look, and I don't think that's a wrong time in an inconsequential situation to see. Let's try and do it.
I just and going off this, what was he like 9 for 14 for 103 yards?
10 for 13.
I mean, you put up 40 points and he threw 13, 14 times. We can't throw the ball more.
His line was 9 for 14 for 103 yards.
I mean,
that's not
when you're running the ball that effectively. They couldn't stop Boston Scott
because this season is not about winning. This is about development. And I'm not just talking about Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about Devontae Smith, who is clearly in a rut right now. Yeah, you can't tell me that letting Boston Scott have a career day does anything for development of anybody. No.
I mean, I guess I can't logically argue that, but.
So then what are we doing here?
I agree. I thought we were
because Max is looking at it in a macro. Max, you're looking at it in a macro sense. You're right. I'm blowing a team out. I don't run up the score. I either run the ball or take my starting offense out. 100%. Micro look now. Eagles look now. I have a lot of things that I need to develop, and I get to do it in a game-like simulation instead of having to do it against my practice squad, who probably they dominate on a practice-to-practice basis. I need to see it in game against another colored jersey. And they chose to go other ways. Like, I see what you're saying, but I also really much see what Banner's saying, where if you chose to do other things, I think you made the wrong choice of what to see in a blowout.
And I'm also, if we're going to throw the points on the game plan out, if we're going to talk about really developing the running backs, why are you giving Boston Scott and Jordan Howard the same amount of touches as Kenneth Gainwell, who you drafted this year and as part of the long-term outlook?
That's a great question that I have no answer for.
No,
nothing.
That's my overall point. Like, defensively, you might have found something.
Workload. Like, both Boston Scott and Howard both got 15 plus carries, and that's not what Gainwell is. Gainwell's a guy.
They didn't though. All three of them got 12 touches.
12 touches, and what did Gainwell do with his? Like, were they carries? I guess. I mean,
they were all three of them got 12 carries on the ground.
Okay.
It's just to me, there's no rhyme or reason to anything. Like, you shouldn't, as a coach, you shouldn't be in the mindset right now of, we have to do exactly what's working. Jordan Howard should not have gotten even half the touches of Kenneth Gainwell, who you drafted now, to be part of your long-term outlook. On defense, you can take some of these things to move forward with. On offense, it still paints the picture of a guy who was clearly out of touch. That is, he doesn't have a long-term outlook. He's already, as a first-year head coach, he's frightened by the fact of, I hear some of the outside noise of people calling for me a one-and-done guy. I need to go out and blow out the Lions, no matter what that looks like, without doing what you were brought in here to do, which is develop yourself, because every person on this coaching staff is new and still learning. So I think that is not recognized enough around the media scope. They're learning as well. But Gannon at least got a passing grade this week. Nick Sirianni is the guy who got one of those stickers because they're just trying to. You showed market improvement from going an F to a D, and you got a sticker because
You
you're
got
like,
the
hey,
smiley snicker that says
hey,
good job
keep,
on it with the
keep
with
going.
The single
You'll
hair
get there
strands.
someday. Like it's
Yeah.
still.
You answered your own
I like
question
that.
there. You answered
I
your own
like
question with the one and done thing. Like that's the answer. I feel like 100%.
But I like that. I like that because if we separate them, Jonathan Gannon in his opportunity in a blowout worked on what his defense probably needs to work on. Nick Sirianni did not.
Well, those are our takeaways from this Eagles shellacking of a just listless Lions team.
Just take it back. Just take it back,
yeah.
NFL, please.
Did we kind of answer this second question here a little bit? What will Sirianni learn from this? I think we touched on that pretty good. Like, do we have any other thoughts, Bueller? Anybody?
I do.
I need to see him. I need to see the same
I'll say
willingness
this,
to do the things against the Chargers.
Teams out by 30 points on a week-to-week basis, then there's nothing to really learn from this game.
Hey,
say that one more time.
Points
Until the Eagles are at the point where they're winning games consistently by 20, 30-plus points, where it's multiple possessions late in the game, and it's all about getting out clean with the win, this game means nothing for what Nick Sirianni is going to have to learn to do in the NFL.
Fair. I would agree with that.
I
would
think
agree with that
the answer is
too.
no. I think the answer is no. He doesn't learn from this, and I think we'll find out very quickly Sunday.
Chargers. If he's smart enough to run the ball against the Chargers after what the Patriots did,
yes,
then he realized that he can actually run the ball.
It's not just the Patriots. You got the Ravens. Like you've seen.
That's how you.
The blueprint's right in front of you. Yep,
exactly.
Right in front of you.
Exactly. So I think no. I listened to his interviews. He wasn't quick to be like, yes, it was great. We're gonna keep running it. I hear it. He was like, yeah, well, that's what we saw in the game plan. It's a week-to-week thing. It's like, dude, just shut up. Like, just say yes.
Well, if it's a week-to-week thing,
it
then for the short term, then maybe. If it's a week-to-week thing, you can't ignore what the other teams are doing against the Chargers. But
I'll say this, if it's a week-to-week game plan and they don't game plan running the ball a shit ton against the Los Angeles Chargers, then we're back at square.
Then he lied. Yeah, then he lied.
I'm afraid we will be digits. I really think we will be.
I hope we're wrong, but out of the sample size I've got.
Woof.
Feeling great.
Next question right here. And boys, it definitely snuck up on me, but I think it snuck up on really everybody here. The trade deadline is tomorrow. And I think 3 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, I think is the deadline.
4.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
There's two ways you could go with this, and I'm gonna let you guys kind of determine which path you choose. Will we see any movement from the Eagles, whether that be buyers or sellers? So take that as you will. JJ, do you see anything coming down the pipe?
I don't, and I think maybe that's the reason it all snuck up on us is I haven't heard a rumbling. Now that Zach Ertz is gone, I haven't heard a rumbling, a rumor, and no one really on their way out for the Eagles. And I think, which is, hey, you don't got to stress yourself at the trade deadline. I say don't stress yourself for no reason, and for that exact thing. Like I don't think there's really a reason for the Eagles to make a move. I think this is all off-season work. I think this is all figure out what we need to do moving forward. And I think any mid-season acquisition or trade kind of jumbles that puzzle, that picture just a little bit more and makes your off-season a little bit stressful too. So I don't see any move out there, Max, that moves the pendulum for the Eagles to put them in any different scenario that they are right now, unless it's someone who you commands all three of those first round picks that you have. So it's like why do something to make you marginally better? Like
definitely nothing that makes major waves. I kind of have this inkling that maybe they'll just pull one of those random like, hey, we have a bunch of just like filler 5th, 6th, 7th round picks flying around or hanging around, and maybe just ship that off for like a low risk, high reward, person towards the end of the rookie contract. Like I have no specific name to give you, but right. It usually feels like Howie's always good for one of those moves, like a year, every now and then. And I just kind of have the feeling that they know that they need help, and if they see, if for example, if the Browns have a 3rd-year linebacker who's never seen the field, like maybe they'll throw the Browns like a 6th round pick for him or something like that. Like I said, I got no specific name in mind. I just have this inkling that nothing major, nothing that anybody outside of the Philadelphia market will ever hear about or care about. But just for the sake of will there be a trade, I think I'm circling yes for this specific question.
Josh, any moves?
JJ, I think you said it was Zach Ertz move. Like that was the trade deadline move.
That was
they
it,
did
right?
a week early or something like that. I don't think they make a crazy move. I heard people talking about Fletch. I think there's no chance Fletch gets traded tomorrow. I was like doing a little research, like, just like, is there any like rumors or anything like that? Sometimes the national media is just so damn stupid.
Well,
Like,
if you go fishing for something, Josh, you're gonna get some fish. Like sometimes
right, but sure, but this was like an ESPN like front page like type article, like possible moves. Maybe it wasn't ESPN. It was something big, and it was like talking about the Eagles could trade Andre Dillard for like a 5th round pick. And I'm like, have you been watching Andre Dillard? Like, I came into the season the biggest anti-Andre Dillard guy. That guy's good, and he's a tackle. Like, they're not trading him for a 5th round pick. I do have some fears that Howie is gonna like think he's a buyer or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
can't be that delusional. Can't be that delusional.
I don't know, but like, I could see them doing something that Max is saying and like packaging it like it's we got Josh Gordon for a few late round draft picks, playoffs maybe. Like, I could see something like that, but
I just don't smell like that this year.
I don't think it's anything. I think if we trade for a player, it'll be nobody. Like, nobody would know that player except for the hardcore fans of that specific team they're getting traded from. That's how niche.
I don't know. Yeah, I think they will make a move. I think it'll be like Eric Wilson or like Jannard Avery for a bag of chips, like something like that.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna agree with Max, and you like it's kind of creepy that you brought up the Cleveland Browns, because this kind of smells to me like the Jannard Avery thing, like somebody who wasn't getting used or was getting used out of their role, like what they're good at. This is an opportunity for Howie Roseman to do the thing that he's good at, because let's be honest, Howie Roseman he is a good trader. So this to me is an opportunity for him to get around his deficiencies in the draft and go after players that this coaching staff identifies as people who fit their scheme, that they like, that they can grow on, that are on cheap deals, that are locked on team control for a couple of years, that can just completely bypass the uncertainty of the draft. So Jannard Avery is a perfect example, somebody that they like that hasn't really panned out here, but the trade in mind was something that they identified. Hey, we like that guy. He's not going to cost us too much. Yeah, let's see what we can do with him. So I think that's the most likely route they go. Josh, you kind of brought up the Fletcher thing. I don't see it happening. Maybe if the deadline was like week 10 or week 11, we might have seen something for like a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, but it's not going to happen, no matter how likely it might seem.
They need to move the deadline back. This is early. This is too early.
I
agree. Way too early.
Yeah, I agree, especially for a 17-game season.
We are low key.
How much people care about and how much
I guess every other
halfway.
I guess every other we're nearing it, but I guess every other sport the trade deadline's 65-70% away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a halfway point.
Yeah.
But having it before the halfway mark, I mean, I guess after tonight we're technically at like the halfway point in the middle, in the middle of week 8 and week 9. Like having it at 50% of the season seems like drafting. Like we all know, drafting your fantasy team before the last week of playoffs. You know what I mean? Like there's too much. The famous Jordy Nelson incident where people drafted Jordy Nelson in the 1st or 2nd round a couple of years ago, and he tears his ACL in the final game. Like to me, it seems like one of those scenarios. Like move it back to like week 10 or week 11, week 12, and like let people really figure out like some seeding for the playoffs.
Right, what I truly need. Yeah, what I truly
need. Exactly. I don't know. But what do I know? I don't know. I'm just a lowly gardener here, you know. Gardener Minshew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why has no one made that joke? Well, thank you for that.
Gardener
Minshew. That's getting used somewhere. That's getting used somewhere, man.
All right.
That's getting used somewhere.
Boys, our last question here for the main event. What do we think? What do we think here against these LA Chargers? The LA Chargers very recently were lauded as potentially the AFC's best. The shine's starting to wear off a little bit. They have very, very clear weaknesses, as every team does. But do the Eagles have a shot against these LA Chargers? And we're going to come back around to Josh first. What do you think?
No. No, I don't think they really have a shot against the LA Chargers, because, a lot of times people look at a team that gets shellacked by the Ravens, Then they get squeak out a loss against the Patriots, and you're saying what you're saying, Banners, where it's like, man, the shine's starting to wear off. I think this is all the ingredients for a get-right game for Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And I don't think it'll be a blowout. I'm not saying that. I just don't have faith in Nick Sirianni. I really don't. I think if we had, like, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. If Sirianni comes out and he pounds the rock against the Chargers, then yes, they have a shot. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think this defense is going to be able to do much against the Chargers, right? I mean, we've seen linebackers or what happens when you get a running back used very well in the pass game and put him up against these Eagles linebackers. I think that's what we're going to see with Austin Eckler this coming Sunday. Overall, my answer is no. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, like I said, but I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid here, especially considering the 2 Chargers losses. The Chargers are the real deal, and they're about to get back on that wagon.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that real quick because I also think it's any given Sunday. So I guess I'll say I'll never say no chance, but obviously a very slim to none chance of them winning. And everyone's talking about if they pound the rock. You have to be able to control the pace of the game, time of possession, control the game as a whole to pound the rock. The minute you go down, especially against a team like the Chargers, just pounding the rock starts to go out the window, especially for Nick Sirianni, who's pass happy anyway. So you start to go down 7, 10, 14 to the Chargers. Now, all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball 35 times today. So I don't see the Eagles being able to control the game and control the tempo from that aspect, which is now they're having to play pace or keep pace with Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and then all of that goes out the window right there. So Chargers get the game in their favor, and I think the Eagles lose control pretty quick.
Max?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a chance. I'm a little bit surprised to hear Josh be so dismissive. I think that the Patriots are not a very good team. The Patriots are they've beaten the Jets for 2 of their 4 wins this year. They're not a bad team. They're not a very good team, but they went to the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are a very odd case in any sport where they're actually a better road team than a home team because they have no home field advantage. And if you look at Justin Herbert's career record and number on the road, it's actually better compared to his home numbers. So with that being said, I actually think this is a good spot for the Chargers. I do think that there's definitely a chance for the Eagles, right? Like the Eagles do have, if they bring out this defense that they showed me last week where they're creative in getting after the quarterback, Justin Herbert is a young quarterback on the road. Those things are always a good recipe for a loud home, defensive performance, right? I think that if the Eagles are able to run the ball, to any kind of successful extent, I'm cool with once again foregoing a week of seeing if Jalen Hurts can go 35 for 42 with 450 yards. If the Eagles are able to control the ball and run the ball effectively, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson were both able to run the ball with a pretty high yard per carry average against the Chargers this past week. Mac Jones was very efficient. Jalen Hurts is definitely not as accurate as Mac Jones is, but I think the Eagles can do enough if things go their way. I think this is most certainly the Chargers should be favored. I think that when it all comes to it, if you tune in next weekend, I'll probably be handing out the Chargers as my play here. But with that being said, there absolutely is a way to get this done. I think the Eagles would be in a lot better of a spot if the Chargers didn't just get, if they didn't get their hearts broken. I don't say their hearts broken. It's not like they lost in dramatic.
Yeah, they're angry. No, they're pissed off. They're pissed off.
Angry. It's more of they got handled as opposed to they got Falcons.
Right.
Was
and Digits, I hear a lot of ifs. If the Eagles do this, if they show, how do you plan on them doing that? How do you plan on them?
Well, that's what I mean. I get Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde coaching staff where some weeks they want to show up and do their homework, and other weeks they just want to play, cover 2 on Madden, the same play every play on defense over and over, and eventually your opponent realizes how to just carve you up and absolutely kill you because you do the same thing every time. So it's weird because I have to basically do this thing where we're 7-8 games into the season. I already have to do this what Eagles team is going to show up this week thing.
It's true.
At least last year, it's what Eagles team was going to show up. They were wildly inconsistent and had no ways to move the ball on offense. This year, it's like, hey, some weeks will look good, some weeks will look okay, but the same issues still appear every week until the weeks where they don't, like week 1 and like last week. So at this point, I think that the Chargers' body of work has been more consistent. Their losses are of a much higher quality than the Eagles. Their wins are of a much higher quality than the Eagles. their coaching job has been of a much higher quality than the Eagles.
That's for
what my
sure.
chances are, I'll give the Eagles 25 to 30% because they're a team. They have a big crowd behind them. Justin Herbert didn't play perfect last game or the game before that. No, there's no law in the NFL that says he's not allowed to have a third bad game in the row just because we haven't seen it yet.
Very true. Yeah, the Chargers have been a little shaky. Herbert was 18 to 35 for 223, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. This is a guy
if Chargers lose to the Eagles straight up, JJ, I'm requesting a shaky, baby. I'm requesting.
Wow.
Chargers?
I'm requesting.
You would third straight, and the third one being Eagles. I got you.
You might have to be on their head.
I got you. I'll be on their head. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. They've earned it.
It's the Chargers definitely have their clearly defined weaknesses. So Max, like you said, which coaching staff will show up? The ones that actually game plan to attack those. Only time will tell, and I guess you'll have to tune in next week to see what takes shape. You know what that means?
I kind of want y'all to win. A Chargers shaky baby would be fun to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
the good fight out here. Let's go.
Little ball action. That'd be fun to do.
And to tune in next week when all this happens, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere in between. You know, I had to give one of those plugs out there. Before we get to our favorite segment, boys, here, NFL's winners and losers, I got to tell you about our friends over at PHL Sports Nation. And I apologize that I deleted the graphic, but that doesn't mean I can't tell you about all the fantastic guests that they've given us. Jolliker. Across the weeks here, any Philadelphia sports team that you follow, they follow them all. They do a great job covering all your Philadelphia sports teams across social media, blogs, everything in between. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Boys, it's time. This is what we do best. We tell you who won. We tell you who lost, and not the record, not the scores. We tell you who really won and who really lost. So we're going to go around as we always do. We're going to start with losers first. Josh, your Week 8 NFL loser. It's fine.
Oh, man.
You're annoying.
Get out of the way.
Man.
You're annoying.
What are you talking about, JJ?
I thought you were looking at me. Go ahead.
No, get out of the way.
I'm saying Carson Wentz is the loser of Week 8.
That's not where I thought you were going to go.
And listen,
baby.
Is this an Eagles slanted take? Yes. I'm not one of the Eagles fans. I want to get this out here. I'm not one of those Eagles fans who is like just drooling over Carson Wentz's failures. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not breaking down the full 22 of all the Carson Wentz throws and this, that, and the other. But when I flip on Red Zone after watching the Eagles win 44-6, and I just see like he lost that game for them. You know what I mean? Like, he really, really lost that game for the Colts in a game that they didn't need to win, but
kind of needed. Yeah,
they kind of needed that win.
Yeah,
and they had it too.
Lost to the Titans this year. You need that.
And that's damning. But we'll talk about the Titans in a bit because they also might have been the loser of the week. But that's besides the point. That was just horrible. Both of those passes was horrible. And I actually saw tweets and I actually thought this. I'll have to give myself some credit too, saying throwing a pick six is actually smarter than a safety, and that's true. But putting yourself in that situation in the first place is just idiotic. Like, you got to know where you are. And then it was the overtime one. That one that really got everyone. I'm sure we've all seen the picture of how wide open Jonathan Taylor was, just 5 feet in front of Carson Wentz. Golly.
It was so chef's kiss.
It was like
the left-handed though.
But
you got it. You only Carson thinks to let me put it in my left hand and try to throw it. The only Carson does that though. It's truly amazing. Truly amazing guy.
It was the whole from the pick six to the second interception overtime. I was just getting flashbacks to that Browns game where he's in the end zone. Like, oh my God. Felt nice to see it in a blue uniform, not gonna lie. I don't want to be hater Josh, but it did feel pretty good.
Max, Week 8 NFL loser.
Banners, do you want to inflict friendly fire or do you want to stay?
Yeah, I could do it if you got another one.
No, I do have another one. I do definitely do have another one.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. What were we going to say? You say the Bucs, go first.
I'll let Banners do it because I don't want to give the Cowboys any kind of positivity here. I'm going to say that the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, Jesus, we talk about the lines being just, repo level.
Good call.
The Jaguars, man, it's done. It's over. They've made Trevor Lawrence the prince who was promised since 6 years ago when he was a 16-year-old in whatever high school he went to. They made him look like Zach Wilson down there. They made him look like, insert your choice of overrated QB here. Urban Meyer is a certified donkey. They were able to muster up a measly 7 points against Seattle, and I guess Seattle's been playing marginally better after their win against, or their close loss against the Saints last week. But for all that was promised, that Trevor Lawrence is the guy, and the Jags will be competitive this year, and this and that and the third. They just continue to come out lifeless, and they can't even play from behind. Well, you would think a guy with such a special arm talent, their offensive line isn't that bad. They have 3 decent receivers. Like, I just feel like if you switch Urban Meyer with, hell, if you gave Arthur Smith, who is not a great coach by any means, who's the head coach of the Falcons, I think if the Jaguars were to have hired him, I think the Jaguars could at least have another win or two by now. They could have they had every opportunity in front of them to go to Seattle and at least be competitive after Seattle had such a an emotional win on a short emotional loss on a short week. They had every opportunity, also coming off a bye week of their own. It's just consistent disappointment for a team that I want to root for whatever.
Yeah, reason. I took the Jags, and Max, I actually got to give you credit. We rarely take bad teams as a loser on our show, but this is a very deserved loser that needed to be talked about.
Yeah, you talk about it. And I was one of the biggest Trevor Lawrence fans all through his college career, and I am still for him a little bit. He's not playing well at all. It's not like Justin Fields where it's clearly the head coach. Like, he's not playing well. Yeah, but I am interested to see if he had someone else other than Urban. I'd be interested to see, but he's also not helping.
I mean,
it's a buzzer.
My goodness, we had our own buzzer right
deal
there.
With adversity, and not only is his team bad, his coach gets caught,
doing Urban. Yeah, doing Urban.
Like having a Thursday night at the bar. You know what I mean? Like
what? Doing what?
Having a Thursday night at the bar. I love that.
Oh, Bourbon Meyer.
Bourbon Meyer.
I love that.
Oh man, JJ, who's your week 8 loser?
Cleveland. This is for you.
Yeah.
This is the Browns, man. Like, my God. First of all, I don't know how the Steelers keep getting these cupcake little wins. Yeah, man. I'm mad about it. Stop letting people think the Steelers are good. Credit to Mike Tomlin. I'm glad he shut all the haters up. But this is from the Browns standpoint. You give me 10. That's what you give me. You get Baker back. The offense supposed to be going. You've heard all the chatter about OBJ. Nick Chubb comes back to the lineup, and you give me 10. And not only that, one of my cornerstone pieces of my team, Jarvis Landry, drops a wide open pass to probably win us the game.
Cornerstone.
I mean, he is.
What's the juice?
One of our marquee players. People go to the Browns games and see one of a handful of players. Juice is one of them, and he dropped a wide open pass to win me the game at the end of the game. Not Baker's fault, but Baker is also a quarterback who I don't think is inspiring many people. I don't think they're rallying around him much, and it's tough because I don't think he's bad. There's just way too much talent on the Browns team for them to be 4-4 and losing some of the games. I mean, in 4 different games this year, their offense has failed to score over 20, and in 2 games this year, their defense has failed to keep a team under 38 points. Like, 2 things that the Browns were not supposed to do this year at all. Darren Orlovsky called them the most disappointing team in football. I don't know if we're there yet. The Jaguars still exist, but they're damn close, man. That is ugly. It's ugly over there.
If we want to talk about the most disappointing team in football, it's got to be the team that lost last night on Sunday Night Football.
No, you're not going to do it to yourself, man.
It's over. Like, it's beyond over. Like,
that was bad.
That was bad. The Mike Zimmer era needs to end in Minnesota. Clint Kubiak was never fit to have an offensive coordinator job. It's just the continued circle of nepotism that is the NFL. You have the last name Kubiak, and people think that you're fit to have an offensive coordinator job, even though the only Super Bowl that he won was a Peyton Manning-led Broncos team. Mike Zimmer's scheme is 10 years outdated. He continues to play conservative football that is just straight out of the 90s, like the early 90s when it was trash. The last drive going into the half when you had 37 seconds left on the clock and you struggled and they went into, for some reason, they went into halftime with a timeout left on the board when you were at your own 44. with 37 seconds left on the clock.
It's banners. Thank you for addressing that situation.
Inexplicable.
I've never seen anything like that.
There's been very, very, and heck, Andy Reid is not the best game manager in the nothing. This is one of the worst examples of clock management.
That's what I was talking about. I've never seen it be like, I mean, what they get like 10, 15 yards, and then it was a bad play or two, and then they just call it. They're just like, we're done.
Yep.
We're done. We want to risk it.
Yeah, didn't even take a shot with 6 seconds left on the clock. Didn't even take a shot. They just nailed it down.
Yeah.
It's over. It needs to be done. Everybody needs to be fired. Needed to build around, because I'll be honest. This is one of the teams with a recent history of embarrassing pasts with star players. And if you don't get it right now, you're heading towards a path of exactly what Stephon Diggs did with Justin Jefferson. You are criminally underutilizing one of the game's best talented wide receivers.
4 targets.
And 10 yards on 4 targets. You literally had your fullback, C.J. Ham, get the same amount of targets as Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson combined in the second half.
Disgusting.
You like
that.
This is the general consensus. Nobody disagreed with Stephon Diggs' points about the team. Everybody disagreed with how he went about doing it. Mm-hmm. But seeing what is happening with Mike Zimmer and his philosophy around coaching football, I don't blame him one bit. And the fact that I'm actually having to worry about that with Justin Jefferson is he shouldn't. Him and Clint Kubiak should have been handed their walking papers before they hit the locker room post game. It's over, done with. And this talent, you have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, full stop. Irv Smith is hurt right now. Irv Smith is hurt right now, but KJ Osborne has also turned into a very good wide receiver 3. You have all those people on offense, and you can't score more than 16 points against the Cowboys. I'm out. I'm hard out. So that's our week 8 NFL losers. Week 8 winners come right back around. Josh, who are you going with?
I mean, I'm first. So, I mean, how can you not take Mike White? Are you kidding me?
Mike freaking White. He's an
animal. He's a dog.
Mike freaking White is the only reason I didn't hit a 6-leg parlay this weekend, and I wasn't even mad. I was like, well,
gotta give it to him.
If that guy's going to do it in this manner, like, I tip my cap to you, good sir. Have a day, Mike White. Like, that's it. I don't really have much more to say. That was awesome.
None of us said the Bengals for losers either. That's weird. None of us said
Well, 34. I mean, Mike White had an out-of-body experience. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Had a moment. He had a moment.
You give up 400-some yards to Mike White.
Yeah.
That's on your defense, not the whole team.
Right. Digits. There we go. The first week I take the Bengals after I trash on Awuzie and Eli Apple every single show. Mike White dots him up for 400 yards.
Dots him.
We should have saw it coming a mile away.
Mike White definitely had a B.J. Armstrong moment.
Ooh. Digits, week 8 winner.
Oh, man. JJ, I'm going to do this the nicest way possible because I really, truly, honestly believe the Saints are your week 8 winners. Because this was their Super Bowl, right? Like, this was
they partied like it, weirdos.
And they played like it. The big bad Super Bowl champs came to town in a spot where the Saints absolutely destroyed you guys last year, and that's about as mean as I'll get during this spiel. But I mean, the Saints absolutely owned you guys last year. That was the low point of the Buccaneers season last year, and you saw them play with that confidence. You saw them. They were beating you guys down pretty good before Jameis got hurt, and Trevor Siemian did enough to hang on. I mean, you got to imagine that Trevor Siemian is not the answer for them. I mean, we've seen enough of him in Denver to know that there's probably not going to be too much, good times happening down there in New Orleans for the next, however long he's still the quarterback, and we'll see what happens after that. But enjoy this victory while it lasts for the Saints, because it might be,
you got to play us again. Like you can
exactly.
You got to play us again.
I hate this. It sucks being you because it's a division game, and this is going to be, the Saints are going to, they're going to lose 10 of, they might lose 10 more games this year, but they'll still always have this week 7 win over the Bucs where they dominated you guys.
And that is so sad. If that ends up being the highlight of their season, that's so sad because we have to play them again. And you still have a question mark at quarterback. Geno Smith Geno Smith also came in, finished out a game for the Seahawks and won. And I don't know if that man has completed a pass since. So you got to play football games after that. And if you're throwing off confetti and strobe lights and smoke in the locker room after week 8 win, like where does your season go from that? Like I'm very sad for you. Actually, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. I feel sad for you because that's how much a week 8 win means. When you got to see that, when you got to see that team again, like you got to see us again at the Pirate Ship. You got to see us in Tampa. So have that same energy. Mark Ingram coming back and talking about, oh, look at the detail. Like I don't need any of that. That's fine.
I'll give you that. I think Mark
I'm glad they enjoyed all of that. I really am glad they enjoyed it.
Who's your winner?
My winner. It's funny because we talked about how we don't know how the Steelers keep getting these wins, and I don't know if it's probably a cheating for my winner to be at the expense of my loser. But Mike Tomlin, specifically, is this week's winner because of all the stupid chatter about the USC job and then having to go and silence a reporter live on the airwaves. I get it. He got a stinky little 15-10 win against a Browns team that doesn't look like they got anything figured out. But at least in the meantime, that's okay. Do y'all get it? Like that's a turn back around. Can y'all get off my back? I won one. I beat a division rival.
Kicker just to make a point.
You know, I did. I lost Boswell for the year, and I still pulled out a good one. You got my kicker.
Oh my God!
The sacrificial lamb. It's better. You got to tell Boz.
I think that's our first field goal of the year. Am I right?
Yeah.
I couldn't recall another one.
And you got to tell Boz it's bigger than you, man. We needed one. Thank you for your service. We needed one. But at the very least, he got absolutely ransacked. But at the very least, for Mike Tomlin, like if he lost this game, you can't keep those rumors off your back. They're started in and around you. There's rumblings. There's chatter. There's even the chatter of, should he be on the hot seat or is it right for him to be on the hot seat? But there's chatter. You go out there the next week after you blow up on a reporter, you go and get a win against a division rival to keep yourself at the top of your division. When the other teams in your division are all starting to reel at this moment, you have back-to-back wins. Go ahead, Mike Tomlin.
It's the Rams, baby. It's the Rams. The Rams are the winner. What do you mean? They go to 7-1, and then they come out on Monday. And they trade for Von Miller.
Get Von.
I wasn't thinking about that.
Why are all these NFC contenders getting pieced? The Cardinals get Zach Ertz, Rams get Von Miller. Can we get some?
I mean, if we're looking at it, if we're gonna look at this, the Rams came out here. Matthew Stafford came out and throws for 75% completion rating, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rams go to 7-1, and they say, nah, it ain't enough. Then they go out and reload the defense. Not even reload, just add to a defense to put together Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, and Darius. His last name escapes me. The other cornerback for the Rams. Like this is now.
Cam Brocker's still there too. Michael Brocker's still there.
I don't know if Brockers is still there, but they went out and traded away their starting middle linebacker because they had faith in Ernest Johnson, I want to say. Ernest Johnson. Like this team is all about now. They have 3 picks in next year's draft. Total. Not 3 first draft, 3 total picks.
And they might not even. They all might be out the door too if they can get more vet pieces. And Deshaun Jackson is very much on the trade block. He made himself available on the trade block. So there's another. Who knows what you can get for that? Who knows what you can get for that?
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp fantasy points. Cooper Kupp fantasy points this year so far. I know nobody cares about fantasy, but this really highlights what Cooper Kupp is doing. Cooper Kupp fantasy points so far this season, 213. Which, by the way. Unreal. Cooper Kupp fantasy points all of last season, 208. He has already outscored himself, and it's only 8 weeks.
What is he on pace for? 1,300 yards,
1,900 yards.
1,900 yards.
What was it like 29 TDs or something stupid
he's
like that?
To shatter the single season
everything.
Touchdown.
Ew.
So the Rams.
Go ahead, Coop.
So the Rams are the winner simply because they are good. And they just got better.
Scary, baby.
Fair.
Yeah. So they might have dropped that one game a couple weeks ago, but the Rams are still a buzzsaw, and they just got a little bit better. They're
what
my
a division that is. What a division that is.
Yeah. Well, Russ may come back soon, but that Seahawks team, whatever. We're going to get into our second half here. Buy or sell. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you something. You're going to tell me whether you buy it or sell it. First one, flower power. We buying or selling flower power? Are you buying that Nick Sirianni's flower speech was actually good for this Philadelphia Eagles team? And I'll say yes. I'm buying it. I'm buying every dollar of it. Obviously, what's this reprehensive stare?
You know what? I'll buy. You know what? It worked. If it works again,
it's a full buy.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, or Doc Lock, go ahead.
Maybe this can be Sirianni's meme.
Josh, go ahead. Three-way split it.
I'm going to buy.
It's a buy.
But not for the reason.
Y'all are unbelievable.
When I played volleyball back in high school, the coach would always show us like a movie at one point instead of practice.
In high school?
What?
So every year, it was like Hacksaw Ridge. He was a very religious man. It was this movie. I can't remember the name. The high school team goes undefeated. They lose one game. And every year, those movie days got turned into memes, which all brought us together. Jason Kelsey breaking down at the end of the game with roots on three. They're all making fun of it, but it brings the team together, and it works.
I love it, Josh.
So
because you played the Lions. If he makes this speech and you get blown out by a good team, no one's joking about roots. I promise you, no one's joking about roots.
All year they're going to be making memes, and I just like it was a horrible speech. It was terrible, but it brought the guys together.
Because you played a middle school football team. That's why.
Even all week, I bet they were making memes about it.
This is why I'm selling it. Because it wasn't funny until you beat the Lions. Until you beat the Lions, it was actually very worrisome for everybody, and you can admit that. So I'm gonna let that slide. Here's why it's a sell. Because I don't think, for all of Nick Sirianni's shortcomings and what he doesn't do, I don't think he's a terrible coach, X's and O's wise. Just knowing the game of football, I don't think he's terrible. But I think it's a certain kind of person that motivates grown men. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
But showing a picture of a flower and going like this in a team meeting and calling your team fertilizer, that's not how you motivate grown men. And Josh, I love the analogy you made. You know why? Because you said in high school. You said my coach in high school. In high school, you bring up pictures of flowers. In high school, you show Hacksaw Ridge and Friday Night Lights maybe is the movie you're thinking about, or We Are Marshall.
It's one of the knockoffs.
Whatever. You show them that movie in high school, but you cannot come up to a 34-year-old Fletcher Cox who's making hundreds of millions of dollars and point to a cartoon flower and say, you are this. You can't do that. That don't work for grown men who are getting their asses kicked on a weekly basis. It don't work. Sell it. Because if you played any other team in the National Football League and you lost that game, I guarantee you there's no roots. There's no ha-ha moment about it. I can't believe this guy tried to get us ready for this game with a flower. I can't believe he tried to do it.
So
I can't believe y'all bought it. I cannot believe y'all bought it.
I'm going to buy it because it quote unquote worked for now. And what I want to say is I've been very critical of Nick Sirianni. I was earlier this show, but I want to, boys, I didn't test well. Okay. Like I didn't like standardized test. No, like
no one did.
I didn't walk into class and test well, but like the subject material, I knew it. I just couldn't put it to paper. So I want to translate that to Nick Sirianni and the media. I don't think Nick Sirianni does press conferences well. And it's not just that I don't think Nick Sirianni doesn't do press conferences well. He doesn't do press conferences well. Okay? Nick Sirianni doesn't speak openly and out in the media well. But what I will say is we don't know what he's like behind closed doors. So sure. What he might have said, so sitting in front of a camera going, yep, I told him we were flowers, and I showed him a picture of a flower. And what I said,
don't forget this. Don't forget the fertilizers. Don't forget
we have to water and we have to fertilize. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he didn't stand up in front of a team.
He absolutely did.
Of grown men and go, we have to water and we have to fertilize.
He absolutely did better. There's no way you can't tell me that
I'm just going to say, as for right now, I don't think he did. I don't think he did because it quote unquote worked for now. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna buy because I am under the impression now that who we see Nick Sirianni as in the press conference is not who the Eagles team sees in the dressing room. So it's a buy. Whew, okay, that felt good to get off my chest. Water it.
So funny to me.
Second buy or sell here.
So funny.
Oof. Tennessee Titans are hopeless without King Henry. It's a buy. I'll move on. Anybody else, Bueller?
They signed Adrian Peterson today. They are desperate. They are desperate. That's a buy. They're desperate.
Yeah,
if that don't scream hopeless, I just signed AD off the street.
Yeah, that's fine.
Put a fork in them. Yeah. Put a fork in
I
them.
mean,
That's tough.
obviously, I'm buying them being hopeless in terms of the grand scheme of things. I still think that this couldn't have happened at a better time, using this as loosely as I can. They've already played the Colts twice and beat them twice. I still think they walk that division.
Oh yeah, the division is fine. I don't get so
I don't think they can bang with the Chiefs,
their
Ravens,
entire
and the
team
Bills in a playoff game environment.
But Max, this is not a.
Do I think that they're hopeless in terms that it's just going to all fall apart? Like, no, I think that
It might though, but this is a team whose sole identity is running the football. We pass when we absolutely need to, but when in doubt, give it to Derrick Henry. Second long, give it to Derrick Henry. We need a reset, give it to Derrick Henry. We need to get back in the game, give it to Derrick Henry. He's not there anymore, and it's not like they looked at their other backs and said, we need someone to step up. The minute they knew he was out for the season, they signed the first running back they could pick up the phone. Like
that's because the Ravens also snagged all of the free agents.
Yeah, that's true. Ravens got them all.
Like 3 cracks at the washed-up free agent running.
Well, that also tells you, one, the Ravens were desperate. They did that. But that also tells you that if Adrian Peterson wasn't available, if it wasn't Adrian Peterson, it would have been Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman or whatever mid-30-year-old running back the Ravens have. It would have been them if it wasn't, if they weren't already on the Ravens. So it could very well, Max. A team that loses its identity like this, it very well could fall apart. Julio Jones is still out too. He's still missing time.
I mean,
you don't have Jonnu Smith anymore. It's Ryan Tannehill and AJ Brown against the world.
Titans have a cakewalk schedule. I just checked. I was gonna say I think the Colts will steal that division, but actually, the Titans have a cakewalk. They can limp into the playoffs even without Derrick Henry.
I don't know.
Don't let them play like Baltimore in the wild card round or something.
This kind of screams.
Without Henry, they have no chance. They have no chance in terms of a serious. I
mean, but think about it. The way this year is turning up, they might find someone like Baltimore or like Kansas City in the first round who's a second, a first or a second seed that should be a first seed.
Last one here on buy or sell. Cleveland Browns in general. Are we buying or are we selling, Josh?
They say buy low, sell high, and this would be low, and I'm still going to sell. I don't know. They say, like, the MLB's better when the Yankees are good, or, like, the NBA's better when the Knicks are good. I personally believe the NFL's better when the Browns are bad. Like,
that is so mean. That is so mean.
My whole life, the Browns are bad. So, like, all of last year when people were like, are the Browns for real? I was just saying, like, no, just because I wanted it to be true. Now I can say it for real. The Browns are bad. Baker Mayfield is bad. Like, let's move on.
They're not.
Max, buying or selling?
Go ahead, Max. Go ahead.
I think this is going to be my last time dumping part of my paycheck into the Browns because I've tried to defend them and I've tried to defend them, and they are still a really damn good roster. But, man, I've tried to be a Baker Mayfield and stick up for him whenever necessary, but he has really taken a step back this year in terms of his accuracy. Which was his only redeeming quality for his first 3 years in the league, was that he was a very accurate guy when he was given the means to have an open receiver. He didn't really have great weapons, but obviously he's not a Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar that's let me drop this guy back 35 plus times. I can be down 21 points with 18 minutes left in the game and it's still not all hope is lost. He's never been that guy. So I think that when your skill set, I don't say he's a game manager because he's not Kirk Cousins. He's not Case Keenum. He's not, Mike White. I shouldn't disrespect Mike White. He's not
freaking White.
He's not Zach Wilson, or he's not Tua Tagovailoa, right? He is a little bit better than those guys, but he's playing like he's a bad game manager. He's playing like Davis Mills light right now, and I think that this is my last time buying into the Browns this year. I will check their. Actually, I don't care enough to check their schedule. One last buy-in for the Browns. They're as low as they go. I'm cool with whatever money I've lost at this point.
JJ, buying or selling?
Can I just hold on to it for another week? Do I gotta buy it? Do I gotta sell it? Can it just stay where it is? Because I'm very much torn with the Browns. I know they were my week 8 loser. Spoiler alert, they'll probably be my shaky baby video this week. But in terms of the entire season or as a whole, I don't know. They're just a team to me that one needs to get a little bit healthy, and two, just needs to figure it out. One, you got to figure out what you're doing with Odell Beckham Jr. I think there's a weight on the team with having this receiver and not knowing why I can't get him ingrained in my offense. And you just got to figure out what you want to either get him out or get it figured out. But something needs to happen with Odell Beckham Jr. But I don't think the Browns are a lost cause to sell them. If they make the play, if they somehow figure it out like they did last year and towards the back half of the season and make the playoffs, I won't be surprised. If they don't win another game this year, I won't be surprised. They're 4-4 for that reason. Like I said, 4 games where they haven't scored 20 points, but then 2 losses where they've scored 38 plus. They are the prototypical 4-4 team, a different team on a week-to-week basis. So I'm not buying in, but I'm not ready to sell all my assets for the Browns yet. I'm just
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy them as late season spoilers. This is a team that is going to ruin the last couple weeks for someone. I don't know who it is yet, but somebody's going to be close to the playoffs, and the Browns are going to come in. And Myles Garrett's going to have a 5-sack game, and Baker's going to somehow put up 30, 34 points, and somebody's dreams are going to be crushed. So I'm buying them as late season spoilers for somebody. They're going to spoil somebody's season, and I can't wait to watch it.
But in an AFC, I know they're not that good. But in an AFC that, one, just got hit with a bunch of injuries, and two, has a bunch of teams who are kind of underperforming, tell me 7 teams definitively better than the Browns in the AFC. 7 of them. I don't know. I don't know if you get the 7 definitively. You could name me 7. But those 5, 6, and 7 are going to be I think they're better, or they could be better. There's not 7 definitively better teams than the Browns. And I know it gets a little bit messy because you got division winners, but I'm not they could still get into the playoffs.
This season's really wonky for the Browns. They play the Ravens back to back with a bye week scheduled in between. They play the Ravens on November 28th, have a bye week, and then come out of the bye with them on December 12th.
That's not fair. That's not fair. That's the most unfair thing I've ever heard.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But I'm looking at the schedule, boys, and 2 teams that they could play spoiler for, and may not be missing the playoffs entirely, but seeding wise. The Raiders and the Bengals in the last 4 weeks of the season.
They could really rain on the Bengals parade.
They're getting at least one. That Raiders-Bengals game is for elimination, or Raiders-Browns game. Give me the Browns every which way.
I'm telling you, Max. Even the Bengals the next week. The Bengals game could be for who gets that 6-7 seed.
Well, so
Bengals Browns. I'm going Browns.
What's really interesting is the last 4 weeks of the season: Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Browns. So Raiders and Steelers could be for making the playoffs altogether. The Bengals and the Packers could be for seeding. And I'm just really excited for the last 4 weeks, the Browns to play spoiler many times.
So they end wherever those Baltimore games. They potentially could go last 6 games of the season.
Oh no, Baltimore boys! The last 6 games of the seasons are Ravens, Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Bengals.
Oh my!
That is.
Oh my!
As we're all sitting here now, the Browns seem dead. I mean, there's in my mind.
I might be on the seller side after that. I might be on the seller side of that. There's not one. There's not one. Wow, that's got to be the hardest schedule going down the stretch. That's the toughest thing I've
That's
seen.
tough.
There's not a team below 500 on that schedule.
And before that, you get the Lions, who are bad, but then you get the Patriots and the Bengals. That's
damn.
So the last 8-9 games of the season, they got one team below 500.
Yeah. That's tough. So I'm selling them overall, but I'm really excited for just absolute chaos in 2 of those games.
Yeah, they gotta get something figured out. That's
all
tough.
Right.
I know
their
schedule is like that.
That's fun to look at.
That's scary.
Well, that's it for buy or sell. So time for tap outs, and I'll take this one out first. I want to give some props to Lane Johnson for how he was so open in talking about what he's been through and just opening up and sharing what we got. All right, I'm getting buzzed already. I get it.
Yeah.
He was very, very open, and I want to just kind of address something also worrying that he said when talking, that we all know Brandon Brooks has had his documented history of mental struggles as well. That they actually had like a scheduled time on the clock of 5:30 to go throw up before games. Like that's
I saw that.
Not only is that worrying, it's just like it really does.
It's heartbreaking almost.
It really is. It's heartbreaking. That's kind of the best way to put it. He did an important thing, and I'm not really sure how to put it into words. Like I hope that other professional athletes, and it's starting to come in waves in the media where athletes feel comfortability to come out and talk about these things. But I hope what he has done. One, I hope for all the best for Lane Johnson. I hope he has either done what he needs to be secure in himself and handle it on his own. But if he does need outside help, I hope that he feels free and able to go pursue that, because everybody should be able to do that. It's far too hard for people to go out and ask for help, let alone the stigma that's around it, plus how inaccessible a lot of healthcare has been made because of the pricing. So I really hope that he does get the help that he needs if he does still need it. And I hope that this is going to be made available enough across media in general that it enables other athletes to come out and do the same. Because if athletes can feel it, it's pretty evident that we all can feel it. So if anybody's struggling, there are resources out there. All you have to do is just a quick search. There are resources out there to help you. So big ups to Lane Johnson for feeling comfortable enough and realizing that it's bigger than him. So
Absolutely,
Kyle, it's right there at the buzzer.
He got it. Lane did the most important thing when going through something like that, is speak on it. Like that's such a liberating thing for him to be able to do. So just like you, Banners, he's got my full support. So glad he was able to come out and say something like that.
Anybody else got to tap out?
Yeah, I got one.
Really, I was gonna talk about Calvin Ridley, but I mean, you basically just kind of touched
Same
on
thing.
it.
Yeah,
So,
same thing. Yeah, wish him the best.
So yeah, just I guess maybe one other thing that a lot of people who don't whether they want to acknowledge it or not, who maybe have never dealt with anything like that, or if they have, they never really figured out how to express it. And there's people, there's no names I'm going to name specifically, but we all know those people that are like, oh, look at this guy, he's stealing money or this or that or the other thing. It's like it's such a wildly misguided viewpoint to have. Those people work harder to get to that point than damn near anybody works hard, or works to the point to achieve anything. It's damn near impossible to become a professional athlete. Nobody who's worked hard enough to get to that point is ever going to step away for unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, we've seen kind of the lid get blown off it in the last couple of years in terms of people actually feeling liberated and comfortable enough to do so. And the world in general has started to revolve more positively around that space. But, if I guess what I really want to say here is, and you can clip this if you need to, if you think people are doing this to get out of playing a sport that they've worked for 15, 20 years to get to the pinnacle of, then, you need the help more than they do.
Absolutely.
Well put.
Absolutely.
Well put. Josh, JJ?
We're talking about mental health here, so you know what? I'll talk about physical health, gentlemen.
There you go.
People don't be talking about physical health. Mental health is the hot topic, and for good reason. But fellas, Halloween weekend came around. I woke up today and said, wow, I'm a piece of shit. I just feel like a piece of shit. So you know what I did for the first time in forever, like probably before college? I went to the gym and worked out. That wasn't just running. And you know what else I said to myself? It's November 1st. I'm starting my New Year's resolution, because there's nothing worse than I hate New Year's resolutions. I think it's the stupidest thing ever. But everyone on January 2nd, gym. How can you start your New Year's resolution on January 1st or January 2nd when everyone else is doing it too? So you know what? Join me. Start your New Year's resolution in November,
Hey.
maybe, because there's
I
a
never
whole
s-
lot less people going to the gym.
I'm about to say I never seen someone beat the rush hour traffic of New Year's resolutions
Yeah.
before. But go ahead, man.
Damn
Go
your New
ahead.
Year's resolutions. What about a nice, good old November lifestyle change?
Hey.
Huh? Nothing wrong with that.
Hit the Waze app on a New Year's resolution. I like that.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
All right, JJ, what you got?
I'll tap us out on a selfish note. Told all the guys
Yes, sir.
pre-show before all the fans
We
out
saved you
there.
for last for a reason.
There you go. A little bit of a exciting life news. So I just got a job today as the in-arena on-court host of Villanova basketball, men's and women's. And women's, I say proudly because I requested to have the women's game. So yes, our guy and friend of the program, Christian Crosby, does it at a professional level for the Sixers. I'm going to share a court with him 2 days out of the year at Wells Fargo Center, pretty much do what he does for the Sixers and bring it to Villanova. So man, like, I'm really excited. Got my first kind of taste of hosting with my new Philly when we did Fashion Touchdown in 2019. Bennett was there. It was a great time. Max was there in 2018 doing my job. So he knows how fun of a time it is. And so, man, just can't wait. Go Cats. Been an actual Nova fan my whole life. So this is really cool to get to cheer them on. And you're from the hardwood. So first game, I get to dap up Jay Wright, pat him on the butt and say, have a good game, coach. That's going to be a dream come true. So
If you do that, I'll pay your salary.
you'll need to, because don't fire me on the spot. You'll need to. They'll actually fire me on the spot.
You give Coach Wright the old ass slap and good job, good game.
Good job.
I'll pay your salary.
Fist pump Gus Johnson at the Wells Fargo Center. I mean,
Yeah,
I got
right.
I got a lot of things I'm prepared to do, man. I got to make it to the end of the season.
Man, you might make me start rooting for Nova for the first time ever. Honestly,
Well, I mean, I know I got 3 Temple grads here, and I know we put a shellacking on Temple every year, but don't be afraid to show the face that game.
Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
My fault.
Watch it, pal. All right.
Watch it.
That's going to be it for us here on Trust the Process. If you didn't catch us live today, you can catch us wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere in between. But if you want to catch us live, we'll be back next week, same time. We have a couple things to look forward to, so don't want to miss it. As always, we are brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new
And
everything's always Philly.
Philly.
Catch you next week.
Don't forget to be fertilizer, everybody.
Water
Hey,
and
no,
fertilize.
it was the. You guys remember the song?